Morning, morning, morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we're honoured to have a guy who does sound effects for movies, and starting with the Peaky Blinders amongst many other things. We're just going to see what we can learn from him and take life as it comes. Nice to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, why sound effects and how did you get into it?
Right, so I come from Rome for the sole purpose of working in sound post-production here in London, and after uni I got hooked up with a friend of mine that worked in a studio, and I started there as a sound assistant on this Russian project and started, being introduced to the world of sound post-production, sound effects in particular.
You said Russian production, what was that?
I worked for a project called DAO, and it was kind of a controversial, huge Big Brother with scientists by this director called Ilya Grajanovsky, which is a Russian guy that recreated this 1950s scientist environment, and it tells the story of this guy Landau, which was a Nobel Prize for physics, and they recreated all the kind of post-World War II madness, and it's a project that's been going on for 10 years, and it just recently came out.
Okay.
And yeah, it was very interesting.
You spoke about coming to London for the sole purpose of the sound engineer.
Yeah.
So is that to say that you were involved in sound engineering before in Italy, in Rome?
Briefly, because I really loved music producing. It started with music really, and then from music mixing, I started getting into I really like sound in general, and I think post-production sound effects was the thing that really caught my eye, that I preferred. So yeah, not much in Italy.
Okay, what kind of music were you into?
Hip hop.
Okay, who's your favourite artist?
DJ Premier. I'm kind of old school because I was in Roman hip hop scene.
Okay.
I have a lot of Italian artists, but mainly something that everyone knows, like Cypress Hill, DJ Premier, Gangstar, I don't know, Lauryn Hill.
So when you came to England, you came here for the purpose of studying. Do you feel the degree that you did was adequate for the industry you're going into?
Yes, definitely.
Tell us a bit about the degree and your experience of coming to England. Was it your first time of coming here?
It wasn't the first time, but for the purpose of, let's say, staying here in the UK, so for long term. And I studied at SAE London, which is an audio production university. So yeah, I was very aimed in that sense.
Yes, you seem like a man who's very focused and knows what you want to do.
I was, yeah.
Well, it seems like you still are.
No, of course I still am, but if you go out your way, as long as leaving your country, I think you must have
a plan of action.
Yeah, just a bit of a plan, because otherwise it's very easy to it's fine. I know people that come here to London or wherever from Italy, and they just go for the purpose of I want to learn English, or I want to see what's out there. I just want to take my chances really. But I was more, no, if I'm going.
So your degree, was it all practical?
Half and half, I'd say.
Did you have to do a year out and get work experience or anything?
No, my work experience has been throughout, while studying at university, and also slightly after that. I've done some live sound, so I was mixing bands in this old street club, and then I finally got the chance to get into a studio. Yeah.
What is it personally that actually motivates you about all this music?
Music was just really a passion, and it's always been a passion, because I kind of realized that music is there's not a lot of money in music unless you're exceptional, or you're very lucky with, music producing, or I never wanted to be an artist, but working in music. I have a friend of mine, he works in music, he's a really good mixer, he does, he's done some good stuff. It's just, I think that my interest shifted from music to sound post-production, because I found it more grounded in reality. yeah, there was more work in general. Simple as.
What have you learned during the time in the music industry and coming to live in England that you wish you knew when you had started?
The ability to work with people. Because first of all, I think you're not working when you work on something like as technical as maybe, you know, sound effects. Some people forget that you're not working technically first, but you're working with people in the first place as a priority. I think sometimes it's hard to, you know, convey like workplace and skills and your duties and people. So first of all, as a sound engineer, they teach you how to connect and how to work with clients and people, because that's what you do. This is the first thing. So you can be like very good at what you do, but if you cannot, you know, be, you know, the chill guy or respectful guy that, you know, is welcoming and knows how to solve problems in a quick and kind of respectful way, or it's very hard to explain. I wish I knew that before, because I was all very, okay, let's be technical, it's all very technical, but first of all, you work with people. When I used to mix for the band clubs, it's a mess of people, it's all of, you know, time restrictions, and you know, there is a lot going on, and if you cannot kind of connect with the people you're working to and kind of being, you know, understanding of their needs, it's very hard to then do the technical work if that doesn't come first. So I wish I had that experience before coming here.
And how have you developed that? Because you've acknowledged it, so you've probably overcome it. So how have you developed?
I think a mixture of bad experiences, more experienced people than I was or I am. See more people, you know, work and do the job better than I did, and certainly helped me a lot. There were some instances where, you know, people are all very different points of view and very different characters, so I think I just went with the flow. I think I found my spot where I felt comfortable, you know.
When you're watching a movie, do you find that you're always looking out for the sound?
Oh, always, all the time.
And what are there common mistakes? Do you feel like phoning them up and saying, listen, next time you want to do a movie, call me?
I mean, I work for a company, so it's not, I'm not a freelancer, so it's not up to me what movies I get to work on. I would say people that do my job are very critical about how things sound in general. If it's a series, if it's a TV series, or especially a movie, yeah. I mean, it's our job, so I think it's kind of normal to always be on the lookout for, you know, cool sounds or something that doesn't sound right. We pick it up quite quickly because that's what we do.
When you're working on things like the Peaky Blinders, how does that make you feel?
Like, having worked on the first series, on the later ones, I was very excited because, you know, it was kind of a big series for Netflix, and I mean, I watched it even before starting working on it, and it's definitely exciting because like Peaky Blinders is sound-wise allows for a lot of design and, let's say, interesting sound choices, even though it's, you know, it's based in 1920s, 1930s.
When we talk about sound, what kind of adjustments, what kind of things do you actually do?
As a sound effects editor, I would start with an Atmos layout of the whole episode or whatever I'm working on. Atmos, just to make it very simple, is you have a scene and you forget about everything that's happening, you just focus on what's happening around the characters or around the scene. So if we're in London, if I had a scene, for example, for this other series I worked on, it's London-based, it's kind of a detective London-based series. What do you hear in London, even in an apartment? You hear police cars, ambulance, madness, traffic, helicopters. You know, build the soundscape for it to be believable. I cannot put, you know, I cannot make it sound like there are, you know, it needs to be believable in that sense, like a busy city, like there is a lot going on, you know, people passing by and all this stuff. That's Atmos, everything that surrounds any space. So if I was near the Thames, I would put a lot of water sounds, boats, still traffic because it's still London. If you were out on the countryside, you will have a lot of birds chirping, you will have a lot of, you know, the leaves moving with the trees, and you know, this is kind of storytelling. Just with the sound, you need to understand where you are. So that's Atmos. I will start with Atmos first. And Atmos for Peaky Blinders is very interesting because it's full of being Birmingham in this sense. But,
so would it be fair to say that you want the atmosphere sounds, the sound of the atmosphere, but at the same time it can't overpower the actual dialect?
I mean, dialogue sound is another, someone else takes care of the dialogue.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So it's really broken down then? So
yeah, no, absolutely. It's very broken down. I'm not a dialogator. I've been doing dialogue for some time, but it's not what I enjoy. Dialogue is the most important part of any sound, audio media. Because dialogue is what, the connection is what you need to understand. So dialogue editing is something else. But yeah, of course, all these sounds never go over dialogue. Or if they do, it's very rare.
Okay.
Because if you can't hear dialogue, you can hear the story, you can't hear anything.
For a young person who's coming into the industry, what would your advice be to them?
Don't assume that if you want to work in sound, and if you're just looking for it, it's very hard to find work in sound post-production. If you think that you just want to make work experience, do something for yourself and start doing sound on your own terms and start learning on your own. Start, engaging with sound post-production solo, basically, so that you have something to show to anyone that would be interested, even a company, and show that you have the willingness to learn more, but you have already taken your steps to becoming what you want to become. Yes. So first needs to be personal interest. So if you want to do that, you do that alone first, and then you engage with whoever you think is right to contact. So do your homework first. You do it, because otherwise it would be.
So we've interviewed directors, many musicians, sound engineers, and all these people on the show. So if any of them is listening, where can they find you if they want to find you? If they like this interview and they want to reach out and say, listen, we need you on our company. Is there a place that they can find you, Graham?
LinkedIn.
Yeah,
find me on LinkedIn. And or just look at Molinaire Soho post-production house. I'm one of the effects editors.
You want to say your name? What's your name on LinkedIn?
My name is Federico Modanese.
Okay.
And
All right. Well, thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we wish you well.
Thank you.